I call Andrew Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it's a pleasure to be talking on this ACC bill. It is interesting to hear some of the perverse sort of history that people have conjured up about ACC. And look, if you just go back a few years, back to 2008, ACC reported a deficit of $2.6 billion, and it had net assets or funds under management of roughly about $9 billion. You go forward 7 years, and you find that it's actually reported a surplus of $2.1 billion, and actually the funds under management have grown to $27 billion. So here we are, we've got major fluctuations over that period of time, that's 6 or 7 years, but as one of my colleagues explained before, even within month by month due to changes in discount rates, all those sorts of things, there can be substantial change in the value of the funds under management. And what this bill is about is that we're going to stop ACC being a whipping boy. What we wanted to do is, in the spirit of the Financial Reporting Act or Responsibility Act, is to put in some framework to ensure that, and for future governments, that they cannot play around with the ACC account, and so that we get proper levy setting. And so my colleague on the Select Committee from New Zealand First, talking before, he talked in the present tense. This bill is designed to be forward-looking and to be actually an imposition for future governments. And so, in essence, it's about putting in place a framework to make sure that levy setting is set at a consistent and a stable level. And it essentially has two parts to it. The first part is to have a framework that determines how that levy is set so that it's clearer, it's more transparent, it has a long-term focus, and also it supports a flattening of that levy change so we don't see large changes. The second thing that it's about is to ensure that the residual levy is not over-collected, and we've heard a bit about that today. During the Select Committee, we had quite a conversation about the level of consultation and that decision-making process, and we were pleased to receive a number of submissions from a number of parties, including the august committee from the Regulations Review Committee, which I'm lucky enough to be a member of, which led to some changes to the consultation process, which I believe personally are much more effective and much more appropriate to future setting. There is widespread support for this bill, and I know one of the members talked about the Business New Zealand. I want to just quote you something that I actually picked up from Business New Zealand. The ACC Financial Reporting and Transparency Bill will ensure that levies reflect sound insurance principles and is a major breakthrough towards ensuring public trust in ACC. Mr. Speaker, I support this bill.